The centuries in Limbo have honed my strength. Not even Kain is my equal.
Even the strongest vampire is vulnerable.
We shall test your thesis, Raziel.
Post disposing of the submerged sod Rahab, and bequeathed with his ability to swim unscathed, we exit the drowned abbey and are instructed of the location of our absent brother, Dumas.
Centuries past, your brother Dumas retreated with his clan into Nosgoth's northern wilderness. Empowered by the gift of Rahab's soul, seek out his mountain stronghold. But tread carefully. These frozen wastes have mysteries yet to disclose.
Likewise, the spectre Ariel cryptically muses.
Beyond the cliffs that witnessed your execution, a silent city sits in frozen tableau. Locked in eternal limbo, they await redemption or release.
Returning to the Lake of the Dead, we see the destroyed bridge leading to the Dumas clan's territory, and although we shall learn who and why the bridge was destroyed, and how the Dumahim became scattered and leaderless soon enough, this is the perfect time to explore a previously inaccessible area that links to Dumas' story. As instead, to the left, we can head up this shallow waterfall and find, nestled in the mountain, the human citadel, cleverly surrounded by water. The human guards, upon seeing us, will fall to their knees in reverence. This is due to the fact that previously, in the necropolis, it was compulsory for Raziel to encounter a crossbow-wielding vampire hunter. If we had retaliated against him, all vampire hunters in the entire game become irrevocably hostile, and villagers would flee from us in terror. On the other hand, if we were to ignore this hunter and proceed to the next area without harming him, any subsequently encountered villagers and vampire hunters would bow down to this unknown blue wraith as a messiah, assisting us in combat against vampires and allowing us to sip at their souls for health. Overlooking the citadel, we then muse.
The human citadel, its towering walls and deep moats engineered to keep Nosgoth's vampire plague at bay.
Gliding over the gap to the city, we further reflect.
Though the city was well fortified against vampires, its human architects hadn't considered a breach by a creature such as myself.
The human citadel is a large area which houses one health power-up, one eldritch energy power-up, and although the city was accessible prior to gaining Rahab's ability to swim, it's required to attain the water glyph. However, in the original Soul Reaver storyline, it was actually intended that Raziel would swim to an underground city complex, the Undercity and Temple areas populated by vampire worshippers. In the retail version, of course, they're only found in the Silenced Cathedral. The leader of the worshippers was the priestess, who would have the gift of possession. The battle with her would have waves of enemies that she could summon from a high ledge, and upon her death, granted to Raziel was the possession ability. Now, the reason why I share this now is to show that humans, though they were discarded by Kain as little more than amusement and a test for fledgling vampires, are somewhat a formidable force if trifled with. Back at the broken bridge leading to Dumas' domain, we leap towards said bridge, falling short. Only with a swimming skill do we propel ourselves out of the water to the ledge above. Following the snaking tunnel, we then find another body of water. No doubt, a deterrent placed by the developers in case players attempted to enter the domain prematurely. Exiting the water, we're then ambushed by the first of the Dumahim. Following the path outside into the frigid frost, we pause to see Dumas' flag flies proudly in front of his fortress. The snow pelting down seems to be intermingled with ash. Though the area seems deserted, we scale a rampart to our right, admiring the horned helms of stone guardians outside the main gates. We then glide gracefully into an outer enclosure, where we open large wooden doors and are shocked to see the state of the ruined city.
This city once teemed with the life of my kind. Could it be that other clans had suffered the same fate as mine? In his madness, could Kain spare none of his brood?
It was not Kain, but Dumar's own arrogance that brought the downfall of his clan. These are human weapons, Raziel. Believing themselves invincible, Dumar and his offspring failed to see an attack coming from the least likely assailants. Complacent in their arrogance, they were taken by surprise, allowing the human vampire hunters to decimate their ranks with little resistance. The few that escaped have been reduced to scavengers.
In utter disbelief that humans' weapons were responsible for destroying the powerful Dumahim, perhaps the strongest of all the clans, vampires that boasted the greatest armors forged in the fires of their great furnace. We then phase into the spectral realm and through metal grating into the labyrinthian structure. To our right, finding the lingering presence of incensed vampiric spirits. And sunlight peeking over the ledge above, perhaps accessible in the physical plane. Heading to the inner courtyard, we skirt the outer cloister to shift realms and see inside the courtyard a puzzle block where, upon using telekinetic blasts, we can return to Wraith form, entering the enclosure and allowing us to venture higher, finding a shifting point to return to the sunlit ledge, gliding across the scene of the carnage below. Following the metallic ventilation system, we see we're inside a more industrialized area that has been flooded, causing our path to be barred. Leveraging the lever to our right, we can then drain the excess fluid like an infected pustule. Once clear, we find two near identical puzzles featuring multiple blocks and once drowned Dumahim. The key to this lengthy puzzle is not only assembling the blocks on each side to be able to get out of the grating area, but then pushing 2 blocks from one side to the far wall, creating a tower high enough to reach the previously inaccessible ledge. Tracing the metallic hallway, we soon learn we're inside a ventilation system of sorts, that it could have destroyed our physical form entirely, if activated. As we soon see, we've landed in the heart of the once powerful furnace. On the left side of the forge is a valve, on the right, a switch. And when dropping down to the valve, we see a meandering Dumahim fledgling, barely sentient in its pathetic patrol. Turning on the valve activates the gas nodules across the room, and we glide over to the switch on the other side, momentarily relighting the great forge's fires with a boom. The poor Dumahim and the door he was guarding utterly incinerated in the blast. As we learned long ago, Dumar's delinquent drones are extremely averse to fire. Moving blocks in the main courtyard, we're now able to enter via the physical realm and cross into its eastern archway. A large spiked bridge bars our path, and we discern the switch to be higher. This puzzle involves again shifting between realms to move the room's architecture to more suitable heights. And the jumps are quite unforgiving nonetheless. With the drawbridge descended, we enter Dumar's domain undaunted by the danger thus far. Finding to our left a giant inscribed monolith and the entrance to Dumar's throne room, now barred. This monument, no doubt a symbol of his clan's virility and dominance in times past, now a limp testament to his premature demise. Heading back to our right, we find another beam of light spelling another way to ascend high above, and over the grating housing his precious scrawled on pillar. Using the phase-shifting sequence again to move the stone platforms to more agreeable heights, we mount the lip to his monument. Thinking of Dumar and his love of physical prowess, plus our own newfound strength imparted by our wraith-like form, which our brother was responsible for granting us, helping to toss us into the abyss, we then cast our mind to our father, Kain, the catalyst of all these events, and what he would say in our position, uttering, "They victors, suffering to the conquered," as Dumar's obelisk comes crashing down on the door guarding his personal chamber. Flying open the giant double doors, we find ourselves in a decadent hall and an unexpected scene, commenting,
My brother Dumar, a powerful warrior in life. He would have burned with shame to have me find him here like a stuck pig.
Approaching our bound brother, we see stained glass behind him, ostentatious and well-earned. On each side of the room are towering guardians, meant to instill menace that was obviously also well-earned. Finding it unbelievable that the humans could have felled such a great warrior. Looking at Dumar, pathetically sitting helpless on his throne in his invincible armor, yet his defeated remains are untouched by the ravages of time. Shifting to the spectral realm, we're then mocked.
Come to save my soul, prodigal brother.
Not to save it, but to take it. Your only salvation is release.
We then rush the giant before he can react with a swath of our Reaver, doing nothing even in his spirit form, as he spins around us with his own soul-sapping counterattack. Forced to turn heel and flee, we run and hear the spectral Dumar follow, perhaps only saved due to his tethering to his bound body to the mortal coil like an anchor. Returning to Dumar's body, we think back to the Duma hymn we'd previously encountered that would lay dormant until their souls were taken, and against our better judgment, pluck the spears from his hide so he may revive long enough for us to take his soul proper.
Unbound at last. I thank you, brother.
Your thanks are premature, Dumar. I have not forgotten whose hands bore me into the abyss.
The centuries in limbo have honed my strength. Not even Kain is my equal.
Even the strongest vampire is vulnerable.
We shall test your thesis, Raziel.
My bloodthirst has been superseded by an even darker hunger. I will consume your soul before this day is done.
Attempting to strike Dumar, he simply laughs. Then he counters with an earth-shattering pound. Dumar then attempts the same corral and soul-snatching move as in the spectral realm, and again we're forced to flee. This time, our brother is untethered and remains hot on our heels. With no way to slow the gargantuan foe, nor any way to seemingly harm him, we think perhaps he is invincible. and has indeed surpassed Kain. It's then we backtrack into the forge, where we'd blasted the doors off their hinges and scorched the poor fledgling. And remember, fire is the one weakness we can count on against the Doomihim that they'd never overcome. Distracting the overconfident behemoth, we see his hubristic nature again to be his downfall, activating first the valve as he skirts the room. Then, as he lies in the blast path, we pull the switch on the other side to incendiary effect as he wails in agony.
Consuming Duma's soul empowers you to wind a constricting band of spectral energy around your enemies. This energy manifests itself in both the spectral and material realms, and in the physical world, it can be employed to manipulate otherwise immovable objects.
Brother disposed of, we exit his forgotten fortress, our sights set on our old master. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of the series. And if you want to support the channel in a more personal way, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, Traveler.